Are we live? Good evening. It is 5:30. We're going to call this special meeting to order. This is the June 9th meeting. I remind you to turn your cell phones to silent or vibrate, and then let's all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our city clerk, Chris, would you take the roll, please?
Councilmember Myers?
Here.
Councilmember Berg?
Here.
Councilmember Dalby?
Here.
Councilmember Rowe?
Here.
Councilmember Stevens?
Here.
Mayor Lazio?
Here. Need approval for tonight's agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Myers?
Yes.
Councilmember Berg?
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby?
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Item 6, we always give the public a chance to comment on items on the agenda. And we are beginning to have people now come into the council gallery. So we can take 50% of the capacity, and people are welcome to come back. Let's go to item 7. If anybody wants to address the council, we'll take that into consideration as we move on. Chris, go ahead with release.
Release of City of Ottumwa Comprehensive Plan, May 2020 draft for public review and comment. Recommendation: approve release of Comprehensive Plan, May 2020 draft.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Planning Director Kevin Flanagan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Honor. This council action will release our final draft of the new comprehensive plan to the public for review and comment. The plan will likely undergo some measure of additional modification and change resulting from this input and from recommendations resulting from our CPAC and Planning Commission meetings. Our plan's final schedule is as follows. June 9th, we will release our final draft. June 25th, a public open house at BVC from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. July 6th will be a Planning Commission comp plan work session. August 3rd, the Planning Commission comp plan public hearing and recommendation for council. August 4th, we will have council setting our time and date for our public hearing for final passage of the plan. And August 18th, the council will hold that public hearing and afterward adopt the comprehensive plan and our future land use map. It's important to note that resulting from the public input that we hope to get, of course, during the interim 2-month period that the plan will be out to the public for review, that comments and recommendations from the public can have drastic effects on the plan and can bring changes of either a minor or a major effect. I myself in my own career have had a substantial change resulting from public input on a passage of a comprehensive plan. And so it is a very real seriousness with which we take the public input process. We're very excited about getting what is now our final draft. And I say final draft in the sense that it's ready for public review and consumption. Of course, we will, as I just said, we will have changes that we are anticipating from that review, not only from the general public, but also from our CPAC, possibly members of our own council, staff, and the Planning Commission. I'd like to take any questions that members may have.
Any questions, council?
When will the marketing for the public event start? I haven't seen any, or I know obviously we're releasing it tonight, so I'm hoping that's going to start very quickly.
That's right. On the morrow, I will be getting with Katie, and we will be posting on our website the map, the plans, and some related documents for the public to review, including our action steps to follow. So that'll happen tomorrow. And we also have some things we're going to be doing with the newspaper, with hopefully TV, and also on the radio during this time before the 25th. And we're going to stress that we're there all day. Myself and a few others will be there from 4 to 8. And so we're hoping the public can pick the best time for themselves to make it. But we will be there for that entire time, 4 to 8. And we'll walk folks through a series of illustrations, different maps, different details that are in the plan. They'll be able to look at their own properties to see the classification on the future land use map of those properties and the like. So it'll be a fairly involved evening. Folks can stay as long or as little as they like. And we hope that a vast number of our public will be able to come. We've been a little hampered in our process so far, as we all know, but hopefully here on the far end of it, we can bring it together and get the kind of public input that we all like to see.
And I know we talked about it in one of the planning meetings recently. Will there be ability to submit comment on the comp plan website as well? Obviously,
Yeah.
there's many people who are still not wanting to go into the public settings, but so they'll be easily able to add comments there as well. Correct?
Yes, there, or email me directly, or our consultant directly as well.
I just think it'd be important to see if we can a collective of what that feedback is, so we can review, not just to you, not just to you, but have something to where we can track those comments. Would be important. The feedback.
Yes, indeed it would. I don't know if we publicly post those comments.
I'm not saying, I'm just
Oh,
saying
okay.
for the planning review
Yeah.
to understand.
Oh, definitely, yeah. We will, we'll analog and we'll have them.
Thank you. That's it.
Will there be admission capacity limits for these public meetings?
Right now, I think BBC, like so many others, is going off sort of a half capacity kind of goal set. The way we're setting it up will help with our social distancing, though, because we're going to go basically be going through a pattern line from beginning to end to look at all the different details and setting it up so that folks can, of course, separate in a proper manner.
Okay, thank you.
And just, real quick, you kind of mentioned I think from our conversations at the staff level before, we talked about it's more almost like if you're writing a paper, that first draft, because you're anticipating, like I said, staff and council may still have some input, as well as other committee members that could change some of the scope of this. And we're at the phase where we're welcoming public input back into that, because that could also have a drastic revisional aspect to it as well. And so when people look at this, just remember that this isn't the final document. If we receive no comments that this is going to be the final product, it's still a work in progress from the public commentary, which is such an important aspect to this. We want to take all of that, other comments from staff, council members, other committee members, and put that into the document so that we will be able to create the final document, which will be available for a public hearing and comment in this final version at a couple months from now.
That's right. It'll be out a couple of months, and that point can't be stressed enough. You're exactly right. When we say final draft, it's almost a planning or a bureaucratic nomenclature, right? Because basically it's the final draft of interior work before it gets out to the public to work further upon it. And as I said earlier, I have seen substantial change from public input, and that's a good thing. We want our public to be pleased with this document and the goal set that it provides for the public. And we are hoping to get a lot of input that way. So you can't stress that point enough. You're right.
Thank you.
So Kevin, will you, in your release of information, spell out those dates again so that people can then either talk to planning and zoning, come to a public meeting, public hearing, and so forth, so that we'll have lots of opportunities so people don't feel like they're being excluded from the process?
Yes, and I'm not so sure that we won't also have another opportunity for people to come online and have another digital event like we have had one prior. I'm not so sure we may not do that at least once more, so that to council point there, that some people don't want to come publicly but are interested. So the more chance we can provide for them to get involved, the better.
One more question, sorry. I'm assuming that the informational release of this will be on social media as well, that we can, as council people, can share this on our pages. Will it also have that contact information to Councilperson Berg's point for people who are afraid to go out into public? Will it have that contact information for viewing and for contacting for their comments?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll tomorrow will be Facebook release as well. We have I've got some information from our consultant to release on Facebook particularly, so we'll get that on.
Okay, thank you.
Make sure those addresses are there. That's a good point.
Any other questions for Kevin or comments? So this is really the initial release to the public and open for lots of comment.
Yep.
Okay.
And lots of work to be left to be done. So
If there's no other question, then let's take the roll.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 137, 2020, a resolution of commitment to apply for designation under the Iowa Great Places Program and the opportunity for associated grant funding. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 137, 2020.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented, Your Honor.
Second.
Okay, yeah, I think I had put this together. So this is a resolution authorizing Main Street Ottumwa to be able to submit an application through the Iowa Great Places Program on behalf of the city of Ottumwa. The goal of the program is to recognize communities that take action to enhance their local places while staying true to the qualities that make them unique. So if we receive this designation, it allows the city to be able to apply for grant funding, support any vertical infrastructure expenses. It's dedicated to developing the cultural assets of the community and provides an opportunity to apply for endorsement, resulting in additional consideration from other agencies in the state. Some of the different types of projects would be in arts and culture, diversity, architecture, entrepreneurial incentive for business development, historic fabric, housing options, natural environment, and other amenities. So there is no cost to the city to complete the application. And if we are awarded, then like any other grant opportunities, we'd have to apply within the parameters of that. If it's an 80-20 match, 50-50, 100%, those are some of the things. Typically, they're a 50-50 match, but there may be some other opportunities as grants present themselves.
Any questions for our city administrator? Thank you, Phil. Take the roll.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Resolution number 138, 2020, setting June 16th, 2020 at 5:30 PM as the date of a public hearing on the proposed amendment of the fiscal year 20 city budget. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 138, 2020.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Good evening, Kayla. You have the floor.
Thank you. Every year we come to you guys with this to set the public hearing for amended budgets. The Iowa law requires the city council to hold a public hearing on the proposed amended city budget prior to its adoption and certification to the county auditor. So you'll have those details for the amended budget for next week, but next week would be the public hearing.
This really is just setting the public hearing
Yes,
date.
correct.
Any questions for Kayla? Hearing none, take the roll.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Ordinance number 3174, 2020, amending Chapter 31, Section 14 of the Municipal Code of the City of Ottumwa, Iowa regarding Sections 31-14, entitled Fees and Charges Cost in its entirety, and enacting a new Section 31-14 in lieu thereof. Recommendation pass the second consideration of ordinance number 3174, 2020.
Is there a motion?
Move the recommendation as presented, Your Honor.
Second.
Thank you, Skip. Okay. Any questions for Kayla or Phil? Just for the record, have you received any concerns, questions, or written information at clerk's
I have
office?
received no objections in my office.
Thank you. No further questions? Take the roll.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Thank you. This is an opportunity for the public to give us any information about any item of city business. Is there anybody? I see nobody here, nobody in the hallway. While we're checking on the hallway, I'll make a couple of comments. Several of the city staff are going to take a tour Friday morning of JBS to see the efforts they have made to deal with the COVID situation in terms of protecting their employees as well as continuing to be able to meet their production needs. I would like the council between now and next week to think about whether or not we as a city want to send a resolution on how we're going to deal with the COVID situation, either to the League of Cities or to the National League of Cities. Many cities are doing this to get some attention to the fact that will have a loss of revenue in the next several months, and certainly will affect our budgets. Thirdly, I'd like to compliment the local group that held the peaceful assembly in the park this past Friday. It was very well done. And I especially want to recognize Councilman Mark Rowe, who gave a very powerful presentation about his own experience and working with people, both people of color and minorities who have had to deal with some rather interesting situations for housing, employment, and just dealing with law enforcement. This evening, we recognize again Chief Tom McAndrew, who retires tonight as our Chief of Police after almost 32 years of experience and service to the community. And Chad Farrington will take over tonight at midnight as our new Chief of Police. And lastly, we are still concerned about the COVID situation. I think people are getting rather casual about it. We would ask people to wear masks when they're out in public, follow the CDC guidelines and the Iowa Department of Public Health. Our numbers are beginning to level off, and I think we've been able to contain the spread, but we want to be sure that we don't have a second wave here. So anything you can do to keep people informed, wear a mask, stay home if you don't need to be out, wash your hands, cover your cough and sneezes, and really just be cautious about getting together, because we're at that time of the year where barbecues and picnics and parks are out there, but we don't want this to get away from us. So with that, is there any comment from any of the council for city business? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Myers,
Yes.
Councilmember Berg,
Yes.
Councilmember Dalby,
Yes.
Councilmember Rowe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Thank you and good evening.